It's like the Republican stereotype. Just, I don't understand it, so ban it. You know what? We ought to make that a shirt. It even rhymes. I don't understand it, so ban it. That's pretty much the Republican mantra at this point. They don't understand something because they're small-minded pricks who got beat way too often by their stepfather or not enough. And now they're here, stupid as using their power, weaponizing their power to harm an already marginalized minority group because they're too stupid to understand how this works. David Bullard, I genuinely wish that your stepdad had belted you more often. Maybe, just maybe, then you'd at least be too injured to actually be elected and do anything with this undeserved power that you've now been given by the state of Oklahoma. Now, it is another day, and because it's a day that ends in Y, that means conservatives are trying their hardest to attack transgender healthcare. As we know, the issue of transgender healthcare is an incredibly touchy, complicated issue with a lot of misinformation floating around. Castrating children, that's not happening. This is just bullshit. These are fear-mongering tactics to get people really spooked so that they are opposed to something that actually, at the end of the day, benefits trans people immensely. So we know that gender-affirming care has been shown repeatedly to reduce the suicidality of trans people going through this transgender care, whether it is affirming care, whether it's hormones, whether it's puberty blockers, whether it's just social transition. This has all been shown to significantly reduce the likelihood of committing suicide. So transgender affirming care is incredibly beneficial for the well-being of trans people. So I don't know if it's actually that surprising that Republicans are against it. They don't really like trans people too much. I know the caller just accused me of saying this, and I get it. Some Republicans are probably just led astray because they constantly, deep throat a bunch of Fox News lies. I get it. However, for the most part, conservatives don't like trans people. They're seen as degenerate. They think they're creepy. They think they're against God or whatever. And because of that, they're against it. So let's just be real. I'm not that surprised that a lot of these anti-trans, transphobic pieces of garbage would be against a form of healthcare that has been shown to benefit trans people because they don't want to benefit trans people. So we start with good old former President Donald J. Trump. So Donald Trump, as you know, is planning on running for president again because one time wasn't enough. And so now he's back and he's got to rally up his base. You know, what do they really care about? Do they want the economy to be better? Do they want more jobs? Do they want stronger unions? Do they want higher minimum wage? Do they maybe want some government programs to help people who need healthcare but don't really have a lot of money? Nah, Republicans don't really care about any of that. They care about the spooky transes. That's what they care about. So Trump, of course, is playing to his base and now has posted this video, it's 2 minutes long, where he talks about how we need to stop transgender healthcare because he's dumb. Let's go.
Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth.
The mutilation of our youth. So 7 seconds in, we got the right-wing buzzword that they love, mutilation. But by this logic, any form of surgery would be mutilation. If a woman wants to have plastic surgery done, mutilation. If a kid needs to get, their stomach cut open to have a tumor removed, mutilation. Mutilation is only used in the context of trans people because they want it to sound gross, disgusting, like something's fucked up here, something's wrong. You're mutilating people. So transgender reassignment surgery is beneficial for transgender adults. In reality, this is a surgery that benefits trans people immensely, and all available research shows that trans people are happier and healthier after receiving this surgery, and regret rates are incredibly low compared to the rates of people who are happy and satisfied with this treatment. So that's what we know, but still, saying mutilation just sounds a lot scarier. And I should probably clarify as well, he said our youth. Youth should not be getting that kind of surgery. They don't. This is why the World Health Transgender Organization, WPATH, directly says that you need to wait until 18 minimum in order to receive this treatment, this surgery. Beforehand, it's usually puberty blockers, which are largely reversible. Of course, they have their own risks. Let's not pussyfoot around the truth here. I mean, it's medication. It has its risks. But puberty blockers mostly are safe, effective, benefit trans people's mental well-being. And if you decide it's not for you, then you can go off the puberty blockers and your puberty will continue as normal. That's what's usually happening for the youth. But again, the mutilation of our children sounds so much more scary than the actual truth of the matter.
On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children.
Where is the minor children surgery happening? The one example I've heard was like Jazz Jennings, I think is a famous trans person who had surgery at like 16 or something. So where? And then why do you say puberty blockers like it's a spooky thing? Puberty blockers have been used for ages now. It's been used for kids with precocious puberty since what? Wasn't it the 70s or 80s? And it's also used for trans kids to put a pause on puberty. He's just like saying it because it sounds spooky.
Can you believe this?
No.
I will sign
I can't believe it because it ain't happening.
Executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then...
What? So this isn't just for kids. This is for literally all transgender healthcare. He's just going to do away with? What? This is what happens, by the way, when all you care about is appealing to a base of right-wing dumb fucks, and you don't give a single shit about empiricism or actually helping people. They hide behind this veneer of, we just care about the kids, you know? When in reality, they hide behind that virtue signal, and they don't give a shit about kids. They don't care if a kid is hanging himself or herself from the fucking ceiling fan because they couldn't acquire the treatment necessary to benefit their overall mental well-being. They don't care about this. They care about making it sound scary, making it sound like what they are doing is somehow moral and virtuous, and then enacting this incredibly disturbing call to outright ban all transgender healthcare. So should they just all die then, Trump? I mean, don't answer that question.
Gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go...
No more funds for any kind of medical institution that provides these procedures. This just sounds like he just wants to ban all transgender healthcare because he doesn't understand how it works.
And pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare...
Okay, yeah, good point, chat. When he bans genital mutilation for children, hopefully we will see an end then to circumcision. I'm sure all the religious Christian conservatives will be very happy about that one.
Declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Further,
so now trans people can't even turn to Medicaid or Medicare if they need help under Trump's insane claims here. I don't know if he would have the right to like unilaterally just end all of this. I don't know if he would have the ability to do that as president. Hopefully not. But my God, this is unhinged. I thought this was just going to be the typical jibber jabber about, you know, oh, they're mutilating the kids. Think of the kids. Oh, the poor kids. But this is just like, no trans healthcare, even for adults. Holy shit. He doesn't have even a single understanding of how trans healthcare works, how it can benefit trans people. Either that or he does know how it benefits trans people and he wants them gone. So he's calling for it to all be restricted and done away with.
Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will invest...
Jesus Christ. So now, even if the doctors know that the best move for this child or for this adult is gender transition or puberty blockers or gender affirming care, then they're going to be way too scared to do it, because then if it's arbitrarily decided that they participated in the chemical mutilation of children, whatever the fuck that means, they could lose their funding completely. And they could get sued if one day the kid is convinced by their parents that they're not really trans. This was just a mistake. Oh my God, you've mutilated your body. Holy shit. Now they can just go and sue this institution. This is insane. This is unhinged, Trump. And this ignores the empirically proven methods by which we treat trans people.
Investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich.
They're trying to get rich, so they're hiding the negative side effects, guys. Yup. You realize, Trump, that in the grand scheme of things, trans people getting treatment is like a very, very tiny minority. By this logic, you should be investigating pharmaceutical companies to see if they have any cure for cancer that they're covering up because they're getting rich off cancer treatment. At least cancer treatment is like a massive industry. Transgender sex reassignment, puberty blockers, it's probably still a fairly large industry, but acting like they're all in this together to make money, they make so much more money off other types of treatments.
The expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education...
So what he's talking about is that puberty blockers are used off-label for trans people. They've been approved by the FDA for precocious puberty. So we know that they work for precocious puberty and pausing puberty. We also know that it can pause puberty for trans people, which is benefiting their mental well-being. Doctors sometimes prescribe medication off-label. That happens sometimes, yeah. Why is this a problem? You would have to actually demonstrate that there's a problem. You can't just say, we're going to investigate this conspiracy cover-up that I've imagined is there, and also get the doctors who are giving it off-label. You have to actually demonstrate that this is actually like harmful, doing something wrong, that this is problematic in some way. You can't just fearmonger and gesture to some nebulous conspiracy.
Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of...
What? First of all, again, they keep making shit up. Where are the teachers sitting kids down? They're like, you might be trapped in the wrong body. You might be in the wrong body. Did you ever think about that, Timmy? You're kind of fat. You're always drinking that fucking whole milk. Maybe you belong in a girl's body. Really? Is that like, where the fuck is this happening, Trump? And then sex discrimination? What? What? Okay. I don't even know what to say. Just laugh. Just smile and wave.
Civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family.
Oh, this is the... Okay. Right. And trans people existing. Oof, you can't have that. That'll make the nuclear family just dissolve. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Every married mom and dad with two perfect white children in the suburb just dissolves into dust because a trans person exists. So there's Trump just being unhinged as usual. And following in his shadow is Matt Walsh, who's also being his usual unhinged self. You gotta love the guy, you know? Here we have Matt Walsh says doctors who provide gender-affirming care should be executed. Listen, I really don't want to use the dreaded F word, okay? I really don't want to use the dreaded fascist word. But now you're talking about the former president of the United States outlawing healthcare that's been empirically demonstrated to benefit trans people's overall well-being. Just completely unilaterally ban it entirely. Make it so that if a teacher even fucking mentions it, they lose their funding. And now you have Matt Walsh, one of Trump's many dick suckers, over here advocating that people who do these procedures, which have been empirically demonstrated to benefit the well-being of trans people, should then be executed. Man, I really don't want to use the F word here, but I'm starting to get a little fashy vibes.
Trump also says, as he goes on to say, that he would direct the Department of Justice to investigate hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, doctors, to find out if they've been involved in a cover-up of the horrific long-term side effects of gender transition drugs and surgeries. Now, the answer, of course, is that, yes, they have been covering those things up, as any genuine and thorough investigation will clearly show, which is why the next step under a Trump administration...
You know what? Before I wasn't too convinced with Donald Trump's spooky bedtime story conspiracy. Now Matt Walsh says it's true. So this is just gospel. Yep, it's happening, guys. If Matt Walsh says it, then that is how you know it's the truth.
Or any Republican administration should be to arrest the culprits, the hundreds and hundreds of them, if not thousands of them, and throw them in federal prison.
So the next question we need to think about here is, why are thousands of doctors involved in this, Matt? Do you think that thousands of doctors are all conspiring together to mutilate the children for some sick reason or another? Like, the doctors aren't paid based on how many surgeries they give. They're not paid that way. So why are they all conspiring? Is it that? Or is it possible that maybe, just maybe, doctors across the country are performing these types of procedures because that's what's been empirically demonstrated to work? That's what's been empirically demonstrated to help trans people. Either it's all a massive conspiracy, or there's empiricism to support the fact that gender-affirming care is what benefits transgender people's overall well-being. You need to think about it, Matt. What's more believable? What does your tummy common sense tell you, okay? Massive 1,000 people conspiracy theory? Or, well, this is what the evidence shows, and this is why doctors across the country, even arguably across the world, are performing these procedures, because that's what's been shown to help right now. Let's think about it, okay?
Now, this can't be a matter of simple fines and financial penalties. I mean, that should be part of it. But the only real recourse here, the only semblance of justice, would be prison sentences, very long ones. Now, if it were up to me, we'd go further than that. As far as I'm concerned, mutilating and castrating children should be legally considered a capital crime, and it should
They all say it, too. The mutilation of children should be a capital crime. Okay.
Mutilating and castrating children should be legally considered a capital crime, and it should earn the prescribed penalty for such crimes. But if we can't have that, then prison will have to suffice. These are all very positive developments. Yeah, we know that the left isn't going to take any of this lying down. They were so close in their minds to achieving their genderless dystopia that they're not going to give up now. They can't, because
we were so close. We almost had our gender-neutral utopia. Man, we were so close, just being genderless blobs. Ugh. And now fucking Trump had to post a video on Twitter, and it's all over now. Damn it! We almost had our heavenly utopia. Man, I was going to be the most genderless blob you've ever seen. And now it's ruined. So this is just fascistic talk. First, they have told a lie that children are being mutilated. They have told this lie over and over and over and over and over again. And no matter how many times this is disproven, they repeat the lie over and over and over again until finally they've repeated this lie so many times that people have started to believe it. They themselves have started to believe it. And now, because they have lied to themselves for so long, they're able to convince themselves that, well, if they're mutilating kids, well, that sounds like a crime. Maybe they should get the death penalty. Why don't we bring back the fucking firing squad? They're lying to themselves and to other people, which then that lie carries with it justification, punish doctors with the death penalty who provide care that has been empirically shown to benefit trans people. This is what happens. I'm pretty sure next, if they can't do that, he's going to just advocate. Maybe him and Trump will buddy up to make, I don't know, some kind of like a camp where all the trans people have to go. I don't know. Maybe.
ideology is the centerpiece of their entire cultural agenda. They can't give up on it. They can't give it up without giving the whole game away, which they're not going to do. And so while red states move to protect children from these forms of physical and sexual abuse, blue states are doubling down on the abuse and doing everything in their power to ensure that more and more kids are fed into the, transgender wood chipper.
Oh, are you talking about the wood chipper you want to throw trans people in, or? Okay, the clip ended there. Okay, yeah, so there's Matt Walsh just, simply saying that, hey, if you're a doctor who's gone to medical school and have acquired this degree and have vastly more medical knowledge than I do, and if you're following the empirically demonstrated beneficial form of treatment for trans people, if you do that, you should be put to death by the state. That is Matt Walsh's take. He can cover it up with these buzzwords, the mutilation, the abuse, the ideology. He can say whatever he wants there. At the end of the day, this is beneficial treatment, and he's saying doctors who engage in this treatment for good reason should be put to death by the state. That is what he is saying. It is unhinged, it is fascistic, and it's gotten to the point now where their hatred for trans people has become so blatant, so out and proud, that now they're moving forward towards any form of policy they possibly can achieve to further harm trans people. It is bizarre. It's sad, but it's really not that surprising. So now that we have gone through the unhinged ramblings of madmen, Oklahoma has now put forward a bill to try and restrict or ban gender-affirming care for people under 26 years old. So I can go and die for my country and for oil at the age of 18. You can vote. By the time you're 21, you can finally buy some alcohol and go and party it up with your friends. But if you want a possibly life-saving medical treatment, well, you need to wait till you're 26 years old. Why 26? I don't know. It's what the Republicans arbitrarily decided today because they're fucking insane. So the Oklahoma bill would ban gender-affirming care for people under 26 and could force people to transition. Oklahoma State Senator David David Bitch filed a bill whose passage would prevent anyone under the age of 26, a full 8 years beyond the widely accepted threshold for adulthood, from accessing gender-affirming medical care. The Milestone Act of 2023 would make it a felony for healthcare providers to administer or even just recommend such care. This is actually like censorship in a way, because now what you're saying is even if a doctor knows that the best method of treatment is gender-affirming care, they cannot even say it. They're not allowed to say it, or else they could go to jail. The government, the state will step in and put you in prison if you suggest treatment that you feel is the best way forward based on the data that we have over the past several decades. This is a form of censorship, even. It also dangles the threat of medical license revocation over unprofessional conduct. I wonder what that means. Oh, right. That's whatever the fucking dipshit Republicans arbitrarily feel like is unprofessional conduct that day. In addition to surgery, the list of prohibited treatments includes puberty blockers and hormones. The bill also blocks public funds from being used directly or indirectly for gender-affirming care and bars Medicaid from covering gender transition procedures. Holy shit. Activist Aaron Reed notes, the way the bill is written suggests that people under the age of 26 who are currently receiving gender-affirming care would no longer be able to do so and thus would potentially be forced to medically detransition. A separate Oklahoma bill filed in December would ban healthcare professionals from providing gender transition procedures to anyone under 21 with a penalty of up to 10 years in prison. So if you're a trans kid in this area, if you're a trans adult at 24 years old, then suddenly you will have to stop receiving your treatment. Basically just forcefully undergo conversion therapy by the state because the Republicans are a bunch of dumb fucks, and because they're too dumb to understand trans people and how gender-affirming care even works, they just want to ban it completely. This is like the classic Republican mantra, I don't understand this, so therefore it's bad and needs to be banned. It's like the Republican stereotype. Just, I don't understand it, so ban it. You know what? We ought to make that a shirt. It even rhymes. I don't understand it, so ban it. That's pretty much the fucking Republican mantra at this point. They don't understand something because they're small-minded pricks who got beat way too often by their fucking stepfather, or not enough. And now they're here, stupid as fuck, using their power, weaponizing their power to harm an already marginalized minority group because they're too stupid to understand how this works. Fuck you, David Bullard. I genuinely wish that your stepdad had belted you more often. Maybe, just maybe then you'd at least be too fucking injured to actually be elected and do anything with this undeserved power that you've now been given by the state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma now is going to try to make it illegal to receive any form of treatment or for doctors to even suggest this treatment could benefit you until the age of 26. I can't even imagine that. Like, you're an adult at 18. That's what we've legally decided, at least. And could you imagine being like 24? Denied a certain treatment because you're not 26 yet. Like, what's the difference? Is it like when you turn 26, your brain magically snaps into like perfect, reasonable cognition? By that logic, then what's wrong with the Republicans, dude? You got people who are way older than 26 over here. Their brains are still running on fucking room temp IQ. 26 is when you get kicked off your parents' insurance. So maybe they're doing it that way so that now you have to wait till you're 26 and then you no longer have insurance with your parents. So you have to go through the extra steps of trying to get insurance that'll maybe cover this, although that's now been outlawed according to, at least as far as Medicaid goes. Okay, so maybe they just did this to be even more creative in how they enact their cruelty. And now we end the attack on trans people with some classic Christian love. You've heard the saying, there is no hate like Christian love. And this is just further evidence of that very fact. Here you have a beautiful, sanctified church that is interested in spreading God's blind love to the community by becoming the Florida megachurch, which is moving to expel LGBTQ members. That's right. Are you gay and you want to get to know our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Well, too fucking bad, cause you're gay. That's pretty much what they're saying here. I guess, is it like gay people can't know God? Is it like once you've had a dick in the ass, you no longer can have connection with God? Maybe that's like the cardinal sin. It's like Jesus died for everybody's sins except for you committing sodomy, okay? Jesus didn't die for that bullshit, ho. A Jacksonville megachurch is requiring members to sign a new anti-LGBTQ pledge committing to adhere to biblical sexuality or leave the church. Describing the oath as an exercise in clarity in a sexually confused world, First Baptist Church has given members and their families until March to comply. Now, this doesn't even really make sense. Like, why are they kicking people out? Those are people paying into your tithes, man. You're not going to be a mega church anymore. You're just going to be like a slightly bigger than average church. The mandatory pledge reads, as a member of First Baptist Church, I believe that God creates people in his image as either male or female, and that this creation is a fixed matter of human biology, not individual choice. I don't believe that the God created us everything there in what regard, but like, yeah, it's pretty much an objective fact that there's like a biological component with male and female. Yeah, duh. Does the left think that you can now decide to be female? Are they like, I use the trans powers that have been bestowed upon me from our Lord Satan, and now I will decide that I'm a female, and like, poof, their fucking penis goes transformer mode, just like converts into a vagina? Is that it? Yeah, we know. Trans people know that they have a fixed biology. That's why they have gender dysphoria, because they recognize the disconnect between their biological makeup and the expectations and the way they're treated based upon that fact and the way that they perceive themselves mentally. This is why gender and sex are different. This is why trans women, their gender identity is that of a woman, but their biology is, yeah, they'd be biologically male. You can literally recognize this. This isn't contradictory. But anyway, again, they don't understand it, so ban it. That's the conservative motto here. I believe marriage is instituted by God, not government. But what about marriage that existed 1, before Christianity, 2, before the belief in God, and 3, for a long-ass time, arranged marriages were the traditional forms of marriages, and that had nothing to do with God making us a perfect union with his spiritual, magical, feminine, masculine energy. Kapoof. No, it was just like, let's unify the kingdom so we don't go to war. That's what marriage was for a long-ass time, bro. So was all that marriage just not real because God hadn't published his book yet? So anyway, I believe marriage is instituted by God, not government, is between one man and one woman, and is the only context for sexual desire and expression. I don't even know what that end part means. Is it like, Pastor John, is this necklace too feminine for me as a masculine penis haver to wear, Pastor? I don't want to hurt God's feelings. I know that we believe in a God who's all powerful, omnipotent, everywhere all at once, knows everything. Literally nothing can harm him because he is God. He created every single thing. But I don't want to hurt God's fifis by putting on something that might be perceived as more feminine. Pastor, can you help me? Is that what it is? Like, what do they even mean, the context for sexual desire and expression? That's it? Okay. Refusing to sign the pledge does not ban an individual from attending the house of worship, but it is a prerequisite membership. In information accompanying the pledge, the church warns your signature and updated contact information on this document is required by March 19th and will ensure your membership at First Baptist Church continues without any interruption. Listen, what do you benefit from being a member at a church? Like, oh no, I'm not going to see my other homophobic friends. Oh, what are you benefiting from being a member of the church? Like, you pay the church because conveniently God's book says that you need to give whatever church you're going to some of your money. It's very convenient there. So, what are you gaining from being a member of this church? Honestly, I know what they're gaining from having you as a member, but I don't know what the fuck you're gaining by being a member there. Megachurch's effort to oust LGBTQ members is the latest manifestation of a reactionary zeitgeist now gripping Florida, one that Governor Ron DeSantis insists is making the Sunshine State the place where woke goes to die. So existing as a LGBT individual wanting to go to church is now considered woke. I know I say this pretty much every time, but I love how it went from like woke was the blue-haired feminist screaming that all males are privileged and need to cut their penises off to fight against the privilege to like, hey, I'm a gay person. I'm gay. I never really chose to be gay. It's just kind of how I was, how I felt when I was growing up, when I hit puberty. And I really would like to come to your church so I can worship God, really get into the spiritual presence of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And they're just like, oh, that's woke, guys. Woke is when gay people are real. There is no commentary left. There are no words left. This is just the logical outcome of these dumb fuck, conservative, Christian, anti-LGBT beliefs. This is just the outcome of that. Well, there you have it. If you don't sign the pledge that says, yes, God made marriage, except for the marriage that existed for thousands of years before this specific God that I believe in. Yeah, God did it though. I don't know how, I don't know why, but God. Well, I think we got a pretty solid new slogan for the right wing. I don't understand it, so ban it. That seems to be the conservative slogan. Whether we're talking about Donald Trump wanting to ban gender-affirming care because he has no idea what the fuck he's talking about, probably snorted too much Adderall that day. You have Matt Walsh calling to execute doctors who perform this procedure based on empirically demonstrated research, which has shown that this benefits trans people and their overall well-being. You have Oklahoma saying that now you cannot get any form of transgender treatment unless you're the age of 26. It's like, okay. And now you can't even go to your nice, good old-fashioned, traditional Florida mega church if you just want to be gay or if you just support gay people. You know, maybe you're like, my kid's gay. I'm not really a fan of it, but I'm going to be supportive because they're my child and, you know, I love them. And then they're like, sign the contract, bitch. You need to tell us where the gays are hiding. Are they under the floor? Like, it's just ridiculous. But this is what happens. Republicans are too stupid to understand the complexities of this subject. They're far too brainwashed by other Fox News, Neanderthals and troglodytes and whatnot to actually do due diligence, engage in any form of research to look into this. Instead, they just hear children, mutilation, trans ideology, and woke. And that's enough for them, again, to kind of wake up out of their drunken stupor. They stumble back into their fucking trailer and they go back to just, yeah, those damn trans people. I'm going to jerk myself raw to how much I hate these trans people. Ugh! As they're probably secretly loading up their transgender porn. That is the attack on trans people coming straight out of the right wing.